We are back at Sausage Tremont Stadium, WattStadium.com, having Phil Brooks in the house, CM Punk, you know him as, out there. It's a real treat, and we've been saying, like, we need more shows.
We need more time.
Yeah. Right? Because it really is fun to have you here. But we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about UFC 236 this weekend coming up. And Dustin the Diamond Poirier is going to be the latest to try to get the strap away from Max Holloway at 145. We've had Maxie Skyped in the show. We talked to Brian Ortega, the last guy he beat to retain this strap. Phil, I don't know that there's a better mixed martial artist right now than Max Holloway. If that is correct, how does the Diamond pull this off?
Well, it's an interesting fight because, you know, lightweight is just log jammed, right? You got Khabib, you got Conor, Poirier has an argument. Tony Ferguson was the interim champion and never got a real title fight. Like, there's a lot going on, you know, a ton going on. But I like this fight. Max coming up in weight, so he doesn't have to do that weight cut, which I'm always happy for guys that they can eat. And yeah, he's unbeatable. I don't know how Poirier gets it done if he can. I think it's all about the grind. You know, you see people stand up with Max and you see what happens. I'm not really sure how much he's been tested on the ground. So I think Poirier needs to make it ugly. I think he needs to back him into the fence. He needs to use his head position, dirty boxing, and try to just grind one out and make Max tired.
I think that's interesting that you denote that, okay, we're going up to a different weight class at 155. These guys have been fighting, certainly Max is the champion at 145. Is this okay for Dana to do these sort of things? We've seen it before with Johnny Bones and Cormier.
No, I think this is obviously this is the future of the sport, and these are the fights the fans want to see, and this is a fight I want to see.
Yeah.
You know, and with a guy like Max, who's cleared out the featherweight division, cleared it out. I don't know who he would fight next. I'm sure there's arguments for a couple, 2-3 guys. But him coming up and fighting for the interim lightweight belt, I think makes so much sense.
Well, you mentioned Conor.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to fight Conor for that because Conor apparently has stepped away from the sport. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on Conor. I want to talk weight cutting too, but let's talk Conor first and foremost if we have the time with weight cutting. But he's such a polarizing figure. Obviously, the success that he had and his singular ability to help raise the profile of mixed martial arts and the UFC. However, you have to, in the same time, juxtapose that with the reality that he has done some pretty terrible things outside of the ring, most notably throwing a dolly through a bus and putting people in harm's way, some of the things. He's now in legal trouble again, accused of punching a man in the face at a Dublin pub during a brawl, which, again, fits kind of what we think of Conor from some of his behaviors. Did so much for the sport, maybe is not a great guy. Like, how do others who share a locker room with someone like that view someone like Conor McGregor?
Before I say that, I just want to shout out really quick, Chicago MMA fans on the UFC card, early prelims, Bilal Muhammad, my teammate from Chicago. He's fighting Curtis Millender, so shout out to Bilal. That's going to be a great fight. Both guys coming off losses. So as far as Conor goes, polarizing figure, you know. And when you're that guy, you know, people talk about you, good or bad. It's happened to me, you know, and I've attained maybe a sliver of what this guy has, you know, like the $100 million fight with Mayweather and all that stuff. And I like to see. I think this is why I love hockey players so much. You know what I mean? Because they're so in tune with their community, and they're always doing nice things. And you know, you very seldomly see one it's in a bar putting out somebody's lights, and they're just, golly shucks, they're the nicest guys. You know what I mean? But then there
does seem to be a code of conduct in a hockey room where the guys keep themselves accountable.
Well, they police themselves, for sure. And you know, one of the things, you know, I mean, there's a players' union. There's no union for fighters. You know, and is that something there needs to be? I believe so. Okay. Yeah, I definitely do. When it comes to Conor, I don't think anybody can tell him what to do. You know, I think Conor is Conor. If I were Conor, and you know, he's not asking me for advice, I think Conor needs to do a friend audit. You know, I think if you look at a guy like Mike Tyson, you know, Mike has lost more money, you know, than anybody, and he can probably tell you. He could probably help Conor out right now. And I'm not saying Conor needs the help. I would just kind of like to see him get it because I like watching him fight, and I don't want to see him knocking out guys in a bar.
Correct.
I don't get to see that.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean? Like I still pay for UFC pay-per-views because I like to support. So I'll still support. I want to see him in the cage.
It's so funny because this time last year we had Robert Whitaker, the middleweight champion at the time, on this very desk, and he said something very similar to what you just said about Conor McGregor, and that was the Dolly incident. He said, we're in a sport where you get paid to fight. So you don't need to do it anywhere else.
Right.
Don't do it in a double bar. Don't do it with a dolly and a bus. Just wait. You're going to get your opportunity, and you'll get paid handsomely to do so.
I love that he rides for his crew. I love that he found out one of his friends got slapped and cornered in a hotel, and he got on a jet, and he flew out. You know what I mean? But obviously, I wish cooler heads prevailed. I think that whole situation could have been avoided.
Yeah.
I don't want to see anybody get glass in their eye.
No.
I don't want to. I don't want to see any of that. But that's the beauty of it. We can fight.
All right,
So
it's
do it.
very, very interesting. It is a juxtaposition when you're talking about Conor McGregor, because you're right. There's so many positives that we love to watch him fight inside the octagon, and then we keep reading these things, and you get those alerts. And when I see Conor McGregor, I go, uh-oh,
What do you do now?
now?
Yeah.
What's the next?